Hello, hello, Pij here, and we have an Umrizzypants fanfiction, so we are going to read that today. Let's get right down to it.
If you are somehow reading this and do not know what the fucking Umriss or an Azzypants is, you are not the intended audience. However, if you would like to know, simply join the Andrew Cunningham Discord server, ask for the forbidden directions to the Azzypants thread, and make yourself known. There, you will meet Pij, and they will tell you everything you need to know, and much, much more. Go on, traveler. Take that step.
If you do know what an Umrizzypants is, I love you, and we should kiss, and also enjoy. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know how to mute Discord. So we are going to live with... You fuckers! You fuckers! It has been silent all day. It has been absolutely silent. Nobody has been talking, and then all of a sudden I'm recording, and that's when y'all fuckers want to start talking.
Well, fuck. How do I even go about explaining the situation I'm in? How does one even begin to give the context to the absolute travesty of a situation I'm in? Listen, I'll admit, I'm not the most normal person around. I have no friends. I have enough health issues to give any mere man a handful of tickets to death's door. And so many bad habits, I'll probably kill myself before any of those health issues can kill me first. I'm a smart woman. Smarter than most, I'd like to think. I'm not a sheep. I'm a free thinker. I'm not like other girls with their Instagrams and their Botoxes and fake butts and dozens of Friday night things. I am the very model of modesty and banality in comparison, outside of my intelligence, of course. I don't care for physical appearance in my men. I would only consider a man who could match my intellect and employability. My mother said that makes me sound like some sort of employer rather than a good girlfriend, but what does she know? She married my dad. She shouldn't be lecturing me about my standards. Not to give the impression that I've been with any men. None of them have met my absolutely minuscule bar of having read the staple literature like American Psycho, Tale of Two Cities, The Odyssey, and, of course, Umriss. Do you really think I would take any old bum to be the father of my 2.5 children? No dog, though. I'm allergic. Besides, men these days are such beta cocks. They only care about a woman if she's dumb and pretty and sexy and has kissable lips. What was I talking about again? I got distracted. Yeah, you and me both, girl. I guess that's just what happens when you're as brilliant as I am. You have so many amazing and important thoughts in your brain, you can't concentrate on pitiful matters of conversation. Why, I bet while I was recapping all that... Guys! Merry Christmas! If I log off my Discord, is there any way I'm going to be able to log back in? I don't think so. I never remember my passwords. So this... Okay, we are logging off Discord. Lord, pray for me. I can't... Why, I bet while I was recapping all of that, some other part of my brain managed to solve backwards time travel. But now, that vital knowledge has been lost because I was busy wasting my brain power monologuing to myself. This is why I need a man who can match my intelligence. With our combined genius, we'd be an unstoppable power couple. Imagine that. Me and the man of my dreams, atop a glass tower in the middle of New York City. I'm inventing things now. Atop a glass tower in the middle of New York, CEOs of the largest civil engineering company in the world, living in the lap of luxury together, getting to experience the fanciest and most expensive delicacies, French wine, treasurer cigarettes signed by the Queen herself, beautiful Wait, didn't she die? They're coming for me! Azzypants thread is coming for me! They're in my pocket! You fuckers! Shut up! Beautiful wait, didn't she die? Well, all the more prized then. The point is, I've got a life of luxury ahead of me, so long as I could find someone who could truly bring out my genius with his own. Someone like Birdley. Oh, Birdley, you're simply the most perfect man. How could you ever reduce yourself to marrying such a brainless trash like Susie? You're practically handicapping yourself. And yet you're still so... Oh, how deeply I wish you were real. Every night my heart pains with the knowledge you are merely a fictional character from a smutty fanfic of Deltarune by Toby Fox. How I wish I could hold you in my arms in my bed and... Oh god. Okay, no, I couldn't read this beforehand. I'm immediately regretting it. How I wish I could hold you in my arms in my bed as you tenderly and seductively whisper into my ear all your thoughts with the flaws of the American judicial system and how the founding fathers, those brainiac hunks, would be oh so disappointed in the country we have become. I remember how empty my life was until I learned of your existence. I was in the pitiful bosom of youth, lurking around the brain-rotten depths of Reddit, seeking out something meaningful to fill that void. I resorted to petty arguments and conflict, arguing with any pathetic soul that dared to be wrong about vital matters, like which Star Wars film was the worst, or how Super Mario Bros. Film wasn't woke, or how trans people deserve equal treatment. These petty things gave me a false sense of meaning in life, as I lived it aimlessly. However, one day that all came crashing down. One of the premier targets for my crusade were the subreddits for Undertale and Deltarune. These people were so easy to argue with, it was almost comical. All that I needed to fulfill my desire for chaos and strife was to take a position on Kara. How would she say it? Kara? Ooh, gross. She would say Kara. Okay, Kara. We can do it. Okay. All that I needed to fulfill my desire for chaos and strife was to take a position on Kara. Any sort of position would do. Though, of course, I much preferred taking those I believed were correct and just, particularly how she was an evil demon who abused Azrael. Speaking of, there was another text written by the visionary behind Umriss about her that never mind, that's not relevant. In any case, I was devastated to learn that I had been banned from both for, and I quote, not respecting Chris's pronouns and starting pointless arguments. First of all, pointless? I'll have them know, those arguments did have a point. They filled the hole in my soul and gave me sick kicks. Second of all, what kind of woke-ass crap was that? I should have known that sub had a bunch of woke moralist mods from the start. Regardless, I quickly decided it would be good if I got my sick kicks from somewhere else. Somewhere healthier and saner, perhaps. So I decided to move over to YouTube comments. Good move. I found a sufficiently fertile comment section beneath the videos of one Andrew Cunningham. That is advice! I got the gibbles from the voice. Ugh. The people were so ready to argue in the replies, it was comical. I subbed to this wannabe intellectual who had co-opted the intellectual face of Nikola Tesla for his own decidedly unintellectual theories, and takes on these woke games. One early Sunday morning, however, he began a stream as he usually did. However, this time he had decided to stream himself reading. I scoffed. I was so ready to dogpile the poor fool in his inadequate reading comprehension. Oh my god, I cannot say this. I have the inadequate reading comprehension. I was so ready to dogpile that fool. I was so ready to dogpile that poor fool in his inadequate reading comprehension and join the stream. I was, however, not ready for the life-altering experience that followed. The words came out of his mouth as he... Yep, they sure did. The words came out of his mouth as he read that masterpiece, entranced me like nothing else had before. It was captivating, enamoring, indescribably transcendent. When Birdley spoke with such passionate fervor on the American dream, I shed a tear. When he and Susie entered in passionate and sensual embraces and relations, I felt... Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, soda break. Soda break. Soda break. Soda break before I break. I felt an exotic arousement. I read that wrong. I read the next sentence wrong. I'm like, oh shit, what did I get to? I read revealed as relieved, and I am relieved. That's not what it was saying. That's not the path we're walking down. Okay. Okay. When it was revealed that the tale was left unfinished, I howled in heartbroken anguish like a mourning wolf. Not a mourning dove, but a mourning wolf. It was the greatest injustice I had ever been privy to in my long and weary life. For the days following the reading, I had forgone sleep due to my mind's insistence on retreading scenes of the parable, of reminding me of the enchantment I felt with the bluebird I had encountered for the first time there within. It was love at first sight. I wished so deeply that I was in Susie's place, in Birdley's comforting feathered arms. Okay, I'm recording. I spent months in this aimless haze. I could hardly concentrate on anything else. This is when I picked up smoking. The image of Birdley with that suave cigar in his lips, in his delicious bird lips, breathing out an anxious fog of death, pulled me in, and has yet to let me go. I quickly learned that cigarettes were a fitting enough filling to cover the cracks in my cold, dead heart. Even if they tasted like shit, that made me feel like I was right at death's door, ready to ring that doorbell on multiple occasions. This is not a euphemism, and at least they reminded me I was alive. But still, even with this nicotine distraction, those words written by some chanter half a decade ago would not disentangle themselves from my mind. I had to vent my feelings on this masterpiece somehow, somewhere. So I went to the only place I could think of, the Discord server of that Nikola Tesla nerd. I joined for Umriss. Wait, she would say Umriss. She would say Umriss. I joined for Umriss, stayed to piss off those freaks in the lore pit with my takes. Not to even potentially insinuate that I had lost interest in Umriss. Oh my god, no, I can't say Umriss! Umriss, I can't say... Not to even potentially insinuate that I had lost interest in Umriss. No. I was still strongly captivated by it. Birdley's beak and snake-like tongue and oh my god. Okay. We'll get through it. Probably not as loud. I don't need to tell the neighbors about Birdley's tongue. Merry Christmas! You got your neighbors talking about Birdley tongue. Not to even potentially insinuate that I had lost interest in Umriss. No. I was still strongly captivated by it. Birdley's beak and snake-like tongue entangled in my mouth in jousts every night in my most enthralling dreams. One day, my persistence in staying in that cancerous place paid off when I received the announcement. Umriss would be finished by us, by me. A competition, please. I'm the only one who could possibly win. Like a woman possessed, I rushed to my computer, opened a Google Doc, and began to write. I would like to think I was possessed, yes, by the Holy Spirit of Birdley himself. He deigned me, led me by the hand as my fingers clicked on the keyboards ravenously. He planted vivid imagery of our time together, kissing, embracing, fornicating, for which I had transcribed By the end, I felt like Moses, hobbling down the mountain holding the product of God's will. Amen, Birdley. Amen. Unfortunately, just like all those other prophets and disciples, like Jesus himself, actually, I was shot down and my scripture denied. How dare you, Andrew? How dare you? You shun this poor queer woman. How dare you, Andrew Cunningham, calling you out. Cancelled. The brain-dead fools in that competition had disallowed the descriptions of intimacy I had included in my writings, so even if I wanted to participate, I was disbarred. My heart was shattered, but it didn't matter. Those plebeians, would she say plebeians or plebeians? She might say plebeians, actually. Those plebeians were too dim-witted to truly appreciate the divine labor of love I had created. So I was happy to keep it to myself, for my own personal satisfaction. Following that, I continued living my life. I got on with my job at Subway, crafting mediocre sandwiches without passion, before returning to my dorm and drinking myself to sleep so that I may be greeted by that brilliant bluebird in my arms. My performance at university in which I was enrolled began to get even worse as I spent all my evenings sitting naked in a drunken haze in my noxious room instead of working. I didn't feel too bad, though. I'm sure Birdley would agree that the American education system is a ripoff anyway. All of these factors eventually led to a series of unfortunate events that would preface much of everything that would lead up to the unthinkable mess of a situation I stumbled into. Oh god, I stumbled all over this sentence, I'm sorry! This voice is really hard. And I'm not even halfway! I'm like fucking dying. I'm dying for Christmas. The best present of all. It all started on a Monday, as most stories of such ridiculous ilk do. The previous night, I had admittedly taken my drinking and smoking a little farther than usual. Some would argue a little too far, yet more would argue absurdly far. Some medical experts would and did say dangerously far, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Needless to say, I woke up hungover with the migraine to end all migraines. As a side note, I gotta give a shout out to my roommate Rami, who, by some absurd miracle, never got on my case about my horrible habits, but did always manage to wake me up in time for class with her loud-ass alarm. I swear, that girl is a robot, but hey, I'm not complaining. Anywho, back on track. Despite my brain killing itself from the inside, I shambled over to my English literature lecture like some sort of soulless husk. I sat down in my usual spot at the back of class next to that weird girl with the really long hair and ponytails that looked straight out of some cartoon. I didn't even know her name, but the obnoxiously cheery tone of her voice and her always dumbly smiling face were not easy to mistake for anyone else. Needless to say, I was not listening to a word the professor was rambling on about. After all, I had already peaked with my writing. There was nowhere else higher to aim after my unsung masterpiece. I had hardly noticed that a full hour had gone by when the bell rang to announce the end of class. Everyone was starting to leave as I slowly faded back into reality and stumbled over my sentences. That's how phased out I was. As I tried to stand up, I suddenly felt every single thought fizzle into nothing. I stood stock still for a moment as I felt my blood pressure skyrocket. I hadn't noticed, but I had been staring at that weird girl in front of me, slack-jawed and blank-faced the whole time. She noticed it, though. Her stupid, brainless smile grew as she looked at my pale and dying face and said, "Fuck you." Yo. Okay, let's try that again. Man, this is the worst voice. Why did I choose this voice? Her stupid, brainless smile grew as she looked at my pale and dying face and said, "Hi!" Damn it! How could she be so... I think her stupidity might have been infectious, because the only thing I could fathom to do at that moment was respond, I think I'm going to fall on you. And immediately afterwards, without my want or command, I felt every single nerve in my body and mind turned off or something, before I lost my balance and felt myself tumble forward. The last thing I remember before everything shut off was her stupid face getting closer. Far too fast until everything went black. Next thing I know, I was waking up in some antiseptic-smelling bright white hospital room. You'd think the first thing I'd think of in this situation was how I got here, or where I even was, or why, but no. My first thought upon waking up was me chastising myself for the absolute dog shit response I gave. Like, really? I think I'm going to fall on you? Who says that? What rational human being speaks like that? It sounds less like a warning and more like a really, really bad pickup line. It sounds like I meant to say, fall for you, but messed up my words and then actually freaking died of embarrassment at that minuscule mistake. What would that girl think about that? Would she think I'm a disaster lesbian, which I'm not, and fainted at the prospect of her beauty, which I didn't? A better question, why do I even care? Why would I care one way or another if the words produced by my drunken brain, moments before collapse, got misinterpreted by the weird girl who sits next to me in my Monday morning class? That's right, there's no reason I should ever give a rat's ass about what that weirdo thinks. Besides, she's probably already spoken for. She probably already has some guy who's equally as nerdy and weird as she is to make out with her stupid face in her stupid book club or whatever, and I am not jealous. Why would you ever even insinuate such a thing? It was only after going through this train of thought that I realized I should probably be wondering where I was, what happened, and how and when I was going to get out. Long story short, after I fainted on that idiot, I had to be rushed to the hospital because people thought I might have had a stroke or something. Thankfully, if it was, it lost. So now there I was, lying on a hospital bed, waiting to be let out. If you're curious, I haven't paid off the medical bill. I bet Burley would have had a lot to say about that. While I was out, the doctors ran a plethora of tests to see exactly what the problem was. And when I woke up, they wanted to discuss some of their findings with me. First and foremost, they stressed that my alcohol consumption was killing basically my entire body, and that I should cut down if I didn't want to have a fatal stroke or heart attack. Secondly, they told me that my smoking was slowly rotting my lungs, and they said if I kept going the way that I am now, I might get lung cancer. So, good news all around, really. But neither of those compared to the final, most earth-shattering news they gave me. Turns out, they ran some scans and found out that, well, I'll just come out and say it. Turns out I'm not having kids. Ever. You'd think my first reaction would be heartbreak and tears and devastation. After all, my dream of those 2.5 kids, no dog, with that imagined man of superior intellect was now forever dashed. You'd think the news would have hit me like a freight train, sending me to the floor in a maelstrom of tears and despair. But no, that is not what happened. That stupid geek's idiocy waves must have been contagious, because my first reaction was just to breathe out, wow, this is just like Umriss. Of course, the doctor didn't understand at first, because he just responded with, because he just responded with, excuse me? I then proceeded to explain to him everything I could imagine to explain about Umriss, and how it relates to this situation. I'm not sure why I did it, but if I have to guess, and I don't want to give the impression that I'm a spiritual sort, but I would say the spirit of Umriss Burley himself possessed me to impart this crucial knowledge onto this unwitting pagan in the pages of Funny Name, the original apostle of Birdley. During my explanation, He listened with intense intent, nodding as he looked down on his notepad and wrote something on it. When I finished, he wordlessly handed me the slip with the phone number and address of a series of psychiatrists. He then wished me a good day and ushered me out of his office. It was on the trek through these hollowed halls of the hospital that everything that had just happened truly hit me. As I quickly internalized what the doctor had said, and what I had said back, my very soul twisted and turned tumultuously. I felt my head fog up and my stomach begin to mimic a washing machine. I needed to get out of that oppressively sanitized building, or else I was going to explode. My legs brought me to a sprint as I drifted around the seamlessly endless hallways. I burst through the door of the stairwell and raced down it until I reached the ground floor and, tears beginning to stream against my will and judgment, stepped out of some sort of back door leading into the alley. The alley! Oh, we got more alley! I leaned against the dumpster, retched, and threw up. Wow, I thought, I'm just like Birdley. Then I felt the intense desire to break something. I swung my whole body around and struck the nearest thing with my entire force through my balled-up fist. My knuckles strike a hard object, followed by a surge of pain and a yelp in distress. So, turns out, that girl from class was worried about my well-being after I just practically melted right in front of her eyes, so she had come to the hospital afterwards to see how I was doing. Imagine her shock as she found me reeling in the alleyway, forfeiting half of my body mass in the form of vomit. Furthermore, imagine the compounding shock from getting an unasked-for broken nose on behalf of yours truly. Okay, before you judge me unjustly, it is not my fault her nose was so easy to break. If she just had milk that morning, then her bones would be stronger thanks to the calcium, and her nose would be fine. Wait, the nose isn't made of bone, is it? Fine, forget I said anything in the first place. Thankfully for both of us, the hospital was right there, so that was very convenient for treating her injury. And what's more, for some reason, I did not know that she was gonna fucking punch Lizzie, Azzypants girl. I had no idea that was gonna happen. I made the scream high-pitched for comedy's sake, but you know... Oh, Jesus. Oh, this is great. I love it. Alright, let's go. Thankfully for both of us, the hospital was right there, so that was very convenient for treating her injury. And what's more, for some reason, she never mentioned to any of the doctors that it was my fault the bottom half of her face was splattered with blood. When one of the nurses worriedly asked her about it, she just said she had simply tripped and fallen on her face. Oh my god, the nurses actually care what fucking happened to you? Where is this glorious place? They just fuss at you for bleeding everywhere. That did little to soothe this lady's fucking amazing health staff. Jesus Christ. You actually think of your patients as people? Where are you? Because I want to go there. That did little to soothe the lady's concerns, however, as she kept mumbling something to her and handed her some phone number. Then she walked over to me and told me that I was a good friend and to watch over that idiot and protect her. I just nodded. I wasn't about to implicate myself if she wasn't going to implicate me. I was already this close to getting thrown out of college. I wasn't going to risk anything. Umrissa, oh, you poor baby. You have no idea. All kinds of messed up shit happens in college, and if you happen to be a Greek, then nothing is going to happen to you at all. In fact, you are just going to get your A's handed to you because of the specific to sports and Greek grading curve. So, you've got a lot to learn about the world still, but that's okay. Though, I still don't understand why she didn't tell anyone it was my fault. Why would she cover for me like that? Could it be? Because, of course, Her head simply must be so full of empty air that when I socked her in the face, she instantly lost all memory of what happened and concocted her own explanation to make up for the gap in her memory. It makes so much sense. And so I sat waiting for her in a crowded waiting room. Why did I do that? Well, I thought that might implicate me in the crime. I mean, think about it. If I had left that ditz in the hospital and ran off without a word, that would mean I'd been highly suspicious, wouldn't it? I'd gladly linger for a little longer if it meant I didn't have to go to jail for aggravated assault. Aggravated, of course, because her very presence aggravated me. I thought it would be fine. I just need to sit by, wait for her, go out with her without saying anything, and then, once I was clear of any suspicions, I could finally book it. And so I waited for a while as she got fixed up by the doctor. It was agonizing, sitting in this simmering shame of what I'd done. I was feeling something. Some new feeling I don't think I had ever properly felt before. Was this what regret felt like? How discomforting. Soon enough, the girl walked out of the doctor's office, looking somewhat better. Her nose was still pretty banged up, so she had to wear some gauze on her face to help it heal. She spent some time talking to the receptionist, probably discussing insurance matters or something, before she walked towards me. I stood up a little too quickly and rigidly, noticing for the first time that she was quite noticeably taller than me, which I will admit is not exactly hard to do. It definitely hurts my intimidation factor, if nothing else. She stared at me for a tad too long before speaking again. Her eyes, Holy Birdly, her eyes! Her irises were so dark. It was like looking at a black hole, yet you couldn't look away from. It felt like her eyes were from an outward reflection of my cynical heart, of my ashen soul and apparent depravity in the face of society. Like I said, I don't know how long I stood there looking at her abyssal eyes staring down at me before I was snapped out by her voice.
Thank you so much for helping me out back there, bestie,
she thanked, her voice ridiculously bubbling considering the context. Did she just call me bestie? I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've spoken more than a total of double-digit words to each other in our entire lives. Is it really that easy to make friends? Just speak to them once, punch them in the face, take them to the hospital, and now you're good pals? Am I the crazy one for thinking this is crazy, or is she? You know what? Yeah, it's definitely her. I think my theory of the memory wiping knockout blow was more on the money.
Hello, just as an aside, my mic decided to die at this point, so I had to go out and get another one. I previously recorded my response, my blind response to the rest of this fic, and unfortunately that was lost to time. But I'm going to continue reading because I already have about half of it already done. So we are going to go through the rest of this fic, and any commentary that I remember, we will go ahead and add that in. Alright.
I think my theory of the memory wiping knockout blow was more on the money than I had originally predicted. My fist might have created an entirely new cinematic universe within her brain of a long and healthy life where we were childhood friends or some other fanfic trope like that. Not that I'm an avid reader of fanfiction. The only fanfic worth any salt is Umriss and its offshoots. Obviously. Obviously! You're welcome? I finally responded. I guess? At this point, I was still worried her brain might kick in and she would remember what truly happened to her nose. This always happens.
Why am I cursed? Y'all are silent all day!
Okay, you ready to go? You ready to go? You ready to go? We'll punch you again, bitch. She nodded far too enthusiastically before she grabbed my hand and began to drag me out of the hospital. I can't overemphasize how hard her grip was. You wouldn't think it, but that girl had the grip of a tyrant. It was a little intimidating. Previously, this brought to mind my own little Umrizzypants crackfic, where, my Lizzie also, didn't know how to handle people because she wasn't used to touching them. And I think it's awesome that we have this little hive mind going, even things like we didn't really discuss, in the Azzypants thread. We just kind of all had the same themes, and I think that is so glorious. It's like a little bit of Azzypants went into the Umrizzypants ship as well. Not to mention how warm her hands felt, especially compared to the cold December air outside. At this point, I began to suspect this was a form of uniquely cruel and unusual punishment for me punching her, forcing me to awkwardly dote on her as I took her to the hospital, then wait in dread as she got checked up, before she forcefully dragged me out to inflict the ultimate revenge, whatever that was. At this point, I have to admit, I was panicking a little. Maybe it was just being in her warm, dainty iron vice grip that got my heart racing. Not for the reason you might assume, because it left me with the inability to escape is all. It was absolutely dreadful waiting for her to finally speak her piece to relieve myself of this absurd hell. Finally, she turned towards me and spoke up.
Oh my gosh, I just realized I never got your name, bestie!
I stammered. It's, Umi. It wasn't, but I wasn't going to tell this girl my real name. Umi was just the first thing that came to mind. She smiled as she dragged my hands up in the air. She cupped them in her own. I was hopeless to flee.
OMG! Umi! That's such a cute name! Totes adorbs!
She exclaimed way too loudly for my taste. I felt my cheeks flare up with red.
My name is Alice Swimmer Patterson Thomas, but since we're besties, you can just call me Liz, or Lizzie, or Allie, or ATPT, or...
I got it, Liz. I cut her off before she could go any further. She smiled dumbly at me.
Absolutely-dopey, Umizumi!
My face crinkled with cringe at her ridiculous off-the-cuff name.
I just wanted to let you know, I'm so sorry for all of this!
She apologized profusely, bowing down and everything. I was taken aback and felt that strange new feeling. Guilt? Crawling up my spine again. What was she apologizing for? What sort of hijinks did her brain cook up to shield her from the disturbing truth?
I'm really sorry for forcing you to take care of me like that, especially after I interrupted your little moment behind the dumpster.
Oh, shit. She did remember. I froze up, not quite sure what to do with this information, unsure of what exactly it signified. I was frozen for so long, it took me a bit to realize that I actually needed to come up with a response. It's fine. It's totally fine. I managed to stammer out, still not fully sure of what to do with the idea that this girl was apparently totally fine with me having punched her so hard in the face she got splattered with blood. I mean, it's the least I could do, after all. After the, I quickly realized she technically still hadn't brought up the whole punching business. Only my embarrassing expulsion of stomach contents on that cramped alley. If I finish this sentence now, I might give myself away and...
Your punch?
Oh.
It's totes fine!
Huh?
I understand that you've been going through some very unpolished times right now. You've sat next to me in class like every other day for 2 years now. It kind of sucked to see you lose your will to live in real time. It was like watching Castiel get sent to super hell. I mean, the whole incident where you collapsed in class wasn't exactly sudden. It was like the climax of your downward spiral. When that happened, I knew I needed to help a bestie in need. Just like how Naruto helped Sasuke even when he's sullen and edgy all the time. It was super convenient when you charged out of the hospital and into that alley right as I was passing by. It was like fate. Like the invisible hand of the fanfiction author in the sky deigned us to meet up again, right there and then. And just like when you puked like Hinata from that one fic I'm writing, where he's about to confess to Kageyama, so romantic! It just had to be fate. So that's why I approached you then and there. I thought your vibe was so romantic and perfect. With your cool smoking and constant soulless look, you really hit all my pathetic wet cat check boxes.
time calls for it, they know to look out and take care of each other. Just like how you did with me. That's why we're such good besties. Besides, this injury is nothing. Love heals all wounds, after all. You're like the pizza pets to my Azriel, you know? We barely know each other, but I feel like, I've known you all my life. You and me, two girls tied together by a red string of fate against the world. Don't you agree? What? Sure? I said, unsure of exactly what I was agreeing to. This girl talked so fast, I had no clue what half the words she'd said in the past minute meant. Poggers! Now I really gotta go. It's getting late. I need to prepare all my stuff to leave for the Christmas holidays. She pulled out what appeared to be some sort of colorful business card, full from top to bottom of drawings of hearts, Japanese animation characters, and the cool S sign. If you want to talk, just send me a message on the Tumblr blog on the card, or write a comment on my AO3 fix. I'll also list it on the card. She shoved the card between my thumb and index finger before I could even make any sort of auditory protest. Anyway, that's all. Bye, bestie! She hollered as she dashed down the sidewalk before turning a corner, disappearing from my sight and leaving me in my cold loneliness, card in hand, my mind swimming and my jaw slack. What the fuck? What was that? Was I having a stroke? Was she having a stroke? Were we both having strokes? Were we stroking together? Did they give her unspeakable drugs in that hospital? Or did they somehow sneakily inject me with unspeakable drugs? Okay. I pinched myself just to ensure I wasn't having some sort of drug-fueled coma dream. It appeared I wasn't, and if I was, it was all still going and might never end. Regardless, this meant I had to live with whatever happened, which was a horrifying thing to grapple with. I couldn't live my life in peace without understanding what the hell any of that meant. So, she thought we were tied together by fate because we sat next to each other in class? Some sort of star-crossed lovers thing, I think? Is her mind truly that poisoned by fanfiction tropes that she can't see how absurd she sounds? I mean, she literally compared our non-existent relationship to at least 4 different ships she seems to be obsessed with. What is wrong with her? Also, did she just admit that she only approached me because she thought my puking was romantic? Was that her kink? Was getting punched also a kink? Or was she just a damaged masochist? And you're telling me I have to sit next to her in class for another full term after this bullshit? God, I need a drink. Oh my goodness. So, oh shoot. I kind of just went over everything that happened in my little closing monologue, but that is lost to time. I will say there are quite a few things that I'm very happy to see. I love that we really got, because I know about being the fujoshi from like the BL games kind of side. Like I don't know about all these ships, all of these things that I never would have thought of that. So that is awesome to see that just spot on. And then this whole this cynical Umriss, where she's kind of like oh Jesus, Cusco from the Emperor's New Groove. I love it. I love it so much how these two kind of get together, and you can see Lady doth protest too much. And she's so pompous. She's so pompous. But it's like in an endearing way. You can kind of tell she's got that she's kind of got that himejoshi thing going on, where she thinks she's better than everyone, but it's kind of like an ego. But it's kind of like a shield to protect her pride, because she feels very lonely, and she feels very damaged, and she doesn't like where her life is right now. But hopefully, we'll see what happens in the next part. I absolutely love the depth of character that these girls are going through, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Of course, whenever it does come out, please take your time, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for this. This was so awesome. And thank you for the little shout out up here. I am so flattered, and I have the biggest, stupidest smile on my face, and I'm so happy. Thank you for this wonderful Christmas present, and I'm sorry that this video got a little bit delayed because my mic completely died, and it's kind of sad that we lost that footage, but I was able to do the second half of it. And thank you, anyone who saw this video, who watched this video, who heard my horrible voice acting, and it didn't run you off the face of the internet and scare you for life. With that, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this wonderful fic as much as I did, and bye-de-bye!